Lionel Grant II, and I welcome you to the Lionel Grant II Talk Show, the talk show that will inspire you for greatness. On this talk show, our objective is to uncover stories, positive stories, that will be intriguing and motivate us for greatness. Today on my show, I have with me Ms. Shonte Baltes. How you doing, Ms. Shonte? How
you doing, Mr. Grant?
Ms. Shonte is a community activist, a community analyst, and we're going to talk a little bit about the community. And the community that we want to talk about is the African American community, our community that we cherish so much. Ms. Baltes, tell us a little bit about what's going on in terms of what you do, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, Mr. Grant, let me thank you for having the opportunity to share my opinion and be on your show. I am so humbled by it, and I thank you so much. But a little bit about me is I'm very passionate about our community because with the community, if the community fails, we as a people fail. And so being a recent graduate and being a public relations major, I deal with the public. So I'm very concerned with our people and where we're headed. Right now, I've just recently started with a program that's called Youth for Christ. And what we do, we're stationed in many middle school and high schools. We just started with Central High School, where I'm stationed and I work. Right now, we're just basically trying to relay that communication line with the young people. Because if we grab our young, which are our seeds, the leaves will grow healthy. So we're trying to save our young community, which is our next generation, our future. These are our presidents, our doctors, our lawyers. So we have to make sure that we maintain a stable mentality for our young people. So right now, that's pretty much where I'm at, just making sure our young people are growing healthy and their minds are strong.
Wonderful, wonderful. You're at Central High School in Tuscaloosa. Of course, the new principal is Clarence Sutton Jr.
Yes.
And does an excellent job, and we think we're very grateful that he's the principal over there.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what you see in our local schools now that may be transitioning into the community.
Well, one thing is a lack of, I would say, hands-on responsibility with parents and children. We have a lot of parents that are working harder now, being with our economical situation. Times are harder and they're having to work harder. So children now, especially teenagers, because you get to that age where they say, okay, you're well enough to take care of yourself and your little brothers. So our younger generation are having a heavy responsibility upon themselves to be the heads of the households. You see that a lot. You see a lot of single parents at a young age because there's no relationship quality going on with young women understanding who they are and their purpose. We also have a lot of spiritual breakage to where we have a lot of young people that don't go to church and they really don't know Christ, know God, or have purpose in life. And so we get a lot of lack in what you would see as an importance of education, because the entertainment industry is killing us. Rap stars and being NBA players and football players is killing our children.
Right. Of course, we all know that there's nothing wrong with those professions. However, when you look at the percentages of those professions and look at the percentage of those particular individuals that actually make it, the percentage is very, very low. So what we want to do is make sure that we allow these students to be all they can be and be well-rounded. You mentioned the church in terms of our community. Tell me, do you feel that the church still has the right and the authority to play an important role in the community as it relates to the African American community?
Well, Mr. Grant, in my opinion, yes. I think the church is made up of the community. It should be. It shouldn't be a group of family members or people, one unit, that have all the say-so. It should be everybody, from the eldest to the youngest members of each community. So I really do think that the church has a say-so in what the issues are and how to tackle those issues, because basically it is the community. And it's just a representation of what it is. And it should be able to manifest its ideas, and it should heal the community. And so I think, yes, the church has a say-so in what are the problems and how they can be handled.
One of the things that you see, or maybe you don't see, I know when I was growing up, and I may be a little, I guess, sharing my age, I guess, a little bit, there was a sense where you were made to go to church. You didn't really have a choice. In fact, there was a certain time of the morning, on Saturday evening, where you were preparing for Sunday morning, and you had to set out your church clothes and get your iron your clothes, iron your church shirt, and you made sure you didn't wear your church clothes on any other day but Sunday. But those days are kind of over. Pretty much what you wear on Saturday to the ball game, what you may wear to church. So, it used to be a time where people said, well, I don't have the proper attire to go to church. But now we're in a different day, a different time. What do you see as maybe some of the reasons why our young people as a whole don't attend church on a regular basis?
Well, I think it goes back to when you start young. I can say my sister is what we would call Generation Y. She's 20, and so when she got to the proper age, like my mother was working, so she never was there to make us get up and go to church. Sunday she was out the door before we were, in terms of getting ready for church and Sunday school. So I think you have a lot of problems with that. It's just that seed is not planted when they're younger, because you have a lot of younger teenage and younger kids that are having children. Right. So some of those people are still trying to live their lives. Church is not important. They're so busy. It's not even, a bad aspect. Some people are so busy with bills and family and maybe some people are working on Sundays. Back in the day, Sunday was off day.
That's a holy day.
Exactly. So now you have people working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Right. And I think that that's kind of a hindrance in terms of how important church is and assembly is for us as people.
Exactly. Definitely some valid points. Let me ask you this question, and I want to make sure that we're very sensitive to the aspect that when we say church, we're not talking about an individual church, my church, or your church that we attend, but we're talking about church as a whole, collectively in the community. What do you feel once a student, a young individual, the high school students you work with, once they get that foundational base, what would you consider a strong foundational base? And once they get that base, how will it help them?
Well, I'm a member of Impact Nation. And, we're a church where we have a lot of collegiate students there. And so the way we have to explain things, we have to throw some of those religious, old school tendencies out the way. It's more about relationship than religion now. And when you build your relationship and you build that altar in your heart, you take it wherever you go. And so that's what we're trying to get our young people to format and understand, that it's about relationship. Throw all those things out of the way, those rituals. Those things are important in some aspects, but more so the relationship is the foremost important thing. So just focusing on that relationship with God, no matter where you go, you can be in East Asia. Anytime you know when, okay, this is the time I need to pray. And you find that altar, you know that God is there with you. So we just make sure our students understand that it's between you and God, and it's your personal relationship.
Right. Having that strong foundational base and letting them know that they don't necessarily have to be within the four walls of the church. That they can carry that Spirit of God within wherever they go, and really usher in His presence in the midst of school or work.
Anywhere,
exactly. They go, exactly. and we love getting excited just talking about it. Now, let's talk about, if we can, some of the problems that are facing our community that the church can even help us with or even balance those scales.
Well, right now, we're experiencing, with economic times, unemployment. I think the church, we need to address issues, and maybe, it's some places in the church that can offer employment. I think that we need to start doing resume seminars. We need to do application seminars where we have a couple computers, and, because now everything is kind of online.
That's right.
And it's very frustrating and it's very time consuming to go and fill out a 6-page application, and then you're like, well, who or where do I call somebody back to even get my application notice out of maybe 500,000 applications? So I think that the church really needs to do a hands-on job in preparing our people to attack those issues with unemployment and lower education, because we're having a high dropout rate against our young African American males. Teen women, young ladies, they're getting pregnant. I think we need to stand in as women, especially the older generation, to let our young women know, love is this and love is that, and what a relationship really is. And take it old school, when somebody courted you, more than likely that was your husband.
Right. And
so y'all stayed together 20, 25, 30 years, and it's literally until death do you part. And I think that's falling off now. And so a lot of our young people, we're letting temporary emotions get them in permanent situations. And so we need to start addressing these emotions and allowing our teenagers to understand life more and give them some wisdom, instead of letting them just fall by the wayside. Right.
Now, you said something very powerful, and I want to backtrack if we can. You said temporary emotions get them into permanent situations. I like that. Don't let your temporary emotions get you in permanent situation. That's very.
It happens a lot, and you get those moments, especially with young men, and they get that anger moment, and it's you want to prove yourself, and you got this pride and you got this anger, and it's starting to snowball, and instead of you cooling it and say, man, if I get in this fight, or if I, assault this other person, I'm probably going to go to jail, and they're not going to take it easy on me. So it's one of those things where if you would have subsided that anger and just calmed down, and maybe y'all could have handled it another way. Exactly. And you could have avoided a whole lot. And I think, that's why a lot of our young black men are incarcerated. We're not learning how to deal with our feelings, because we're taught to not really talk about anything. Just deal with it.
Right.
So those are some issues, that we're facing, and it's that spirituality that kind of levels that stuff out.
One of the things that our ministry has had an opportunity to be a part of is the jail ministry and the youth ministry. And what we're seeing now, we're seeing younger and younger men, boys, teenagers, going in, being incarcerated and being tried
as adults.
As an adult. And it's very sad when you see 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 16-year-olds, their life is almost over.
Almost over. Because you have some kids, they're 14, and attempted murder charges. We got kids carrying around weapons now. Don't know how to use them. Don't know what situation to use them in. They're just, defending themselves with something they know nothing about. And say you shoot another 16-year-old, you get an attempted murder charge, you're probably going to get 10 to 20 years.
Sure.
How can you see a 14-year-old child? That's still a child.
Still a child.
And as a young man, mentally he's probably 12 or 11, because women mature quicker than men. But so you have a child, and he's in an area with nothing but men.
Right.
Eventually, because he's probably going to be juvenile from 14 to 18. But still, you've got older men or older boys with older experiences, and you have this young child. And so we put them. It's like. It's a catch-22 situation. They're being punished because they committed a crime, but yet the punishment is going to be everlasting, because there's no real slow help that they really need internally. Right.
So from talking to you, it seems like, as we mentioned the situations dealing with the high school students or young students, young individuals at age. We talked about the foundational basis of our local church, the unemployment as a result of the high school dropout, that of course leads to idle time, and talked about the incarceration. What are some of the solutions that you see that the church can do? Some of the solutions that they could help combat some of these ills that we're facing in the African American community?
Well, Mr. Grant, first of all, I think we need to start holding seminars. I think people who've been through things need to stop being scared of talking about it. And I think we need to start addressing the issues with our young people. I think a Friday night, instead of giving the club as an option, why not the church as an option? And, I think we need to start holding events and seminars and all kind of conferences, for our young people. Let them know we still care, and our lives are not that hectic that we can't still be concerned for you. I think that's just step one. And once we get them in, you start connecting young people to young people. And it just makes a full circle. So I think that's just one of many ways that, we can start.
I think in addition to that, and you're exactly right, but I think in addition to that, these conferences that we have, they've got to be conferences that really impact. We're not scared to talk about the music. We're not scared to talk about the movies and the videos and things like that. And I think that'll really assist them. Well, I want to take this opportunity to take a small break and come back and kind of talk about some other things. But I thank you so much for joining us on this portion of the Lionel Grant II Talk Show. Lionel Grant II Talk Show, the talk show with inspiration. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with further episodes and further topics. Thank you so much.